Like I'm on the smaller side, height, but um growing up, I was kind of taught to be very cautious of my weight. So my grandma was very, type of woman who never went outside not put together, and she's very cautious about her appearance and how she presented herself, and she kind of passed that down. Um, I grew up with just women on top of that, so um, everybody just kind of was taught the same habits, but that caused me to have an eating disorder like later in life. Um, and then, I feel like everybody's story kind of has a little bit of tragedy in it, as did mine. My mother had a stroke, passed away. So that also just kind of wrecked my nerves and made my eating disorder a lot worse. So it got to a point where I just didn't feel good waking up because of, what my body was going through. So I knew I needed to do something better for myself. So I, could improve and get rid of that habit. It's just not obviously not doing me any good. Um, so I hired a trainer out of one of my local gyms that I was going to, learned how to eat, how to use food, work with food and not be afraid of it, I guess, in other words. Um, yeah, so it kind of went from there. He taught me how to eat, how to lift, and then it started getting put in my head like you should, do more with this. He was a competitor himself, so um kind of put that in my head, and I was like, no, 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 hell no. I just wanted to be like stronger and feel better. Um Moving kind of on, I met my coach Nick, who I train with now, and it came up again, you ever thought about competing? And I was like, hell no, like I'm not doing that. But as time went on and I kind of started seeing what more potential I had with, how I can make my body do things that I wanted it to do, um, then I just kind of got more curious about competing, and he kind of moved me in from there. So that's kind of what got me more serious, like into building more muscle and stuff like that. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, it looked like you froze.
No, I'm like sitting here. I'm just listening to you because
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we started prepping in January, this past January, and it's kind of went from there. We did the Samson. That went really well, and I didn't expect that to happen. So then from there, it was just kind of like going on a roller coaster ride, and you get off and you're like, whoa, like I want to do that again. So we went on from there to this Cutler about 3 weeks later. And then from there, we did nationals. So
hmm
it was just kind of an amusement park. It was just getting back on the roller coaster, getting back on the roller coaster, getting back on the roller coaster.
so you're still pretty much a brand new competitor to the sport. Is to go through a throwback. One of my favorite characters. Remember, I was a young man. Used to be a show called Martin. Used to love to watch. And this character called Jerome. He was a player, and Jerome told us to one guy said, "You're still wet behind your ears, and your breath smells like Similac." And and that's the thing about bodybuilding. Yeah, he's like Jerome. He's a international player from the Himalayas. So and
That's hilarious.
yeah, and that's the thing about bodybuilding. It's a process. It's about time to grow and how you develop as an athlete. And one thing I wiki feeling on is like with your mother, because my mother had her stroke, but she had like at least three seizures before that, and I was taking
Oh,
care of
goodness.
her for for quite a good while until she passed. And I know sometimes losing someone like that, because I've lost two of my siblings, my father, actually three of my siblings, because I had a brother before I was born. He passed, but I didn't get to know him. And sometimes food, it could be a comfort, because I know quite a few ladies in sport bodybuilding who have dealt with eating disorders, and and that's with one thing that probably got them into bodybuilding, because trying to find a way to control that disorder.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can definitely go both ways. You're right.
hmm Yeah. So your first show was the Simpson. Was it? What was the first
Yes.
show? Uh huh.
Samson
What?
was March 29th.
And what's that feeling like being on the stage and you're doing wellness? Why did you choose that division out of so many others to choose from?
That's a very good question. So naturally, I do have thicker legs. Um, I mean, I have been very thin, but I'm not really thin. Like, my legs don't really get very tiny. So when me and my coach kind of really started thinking about moving forward into competing, we just kind of were like, okay, let's see what we get. So I trained with him for, gosh, it was at least like a year and a half before I was like, okay, I'll compete. Because he was just kind of putting it in my head for like a year and a half. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. I just want to be buff. I just want to look good at the pool party. But once we started, we're like, I was like, okay, let's do this. We were just like, okay, let's see what we end up with. Don't think, just kind of assess what you have and kind of guesstimate what, is going to happen with it. And me, like, I get bigger. So we were like, that's, you know, what we're working with. And that's the division that, that is that look.
Hmm.
So wellness. But I really do appreciate the shape. I love the hourglass. I love the curves. So it wasn't really hard for me to fall in love with it and kind of chase after it. So wellness was just it was what was for me.
Yeah, I think each division works with a woman's physical aesthetics. Like you look at it. If you look at bikini, the girl's a little bit more leaner, a little bit more petite. If you look
Yeah.
at divisions like a figure where they have the more wider shoulders, the broader back, the smaller waist, physique shares those aspects between figure and women's bodybuilding. And then
Yeah.
wellness, because it's such a new division where if you have like, well, that's why the Brazilians do so well because they have those natural aesthetics. As I would say, those natural Afro aesthetics. They a little thicker in the hips and the thighs and the quads compared to other, ethnic groups. They share some things with Black people because many of our descendants from our people, and you know, it's about how you grow as an athlete and your time you got to take. Because sometimes some people with some ladies I've talked to, some division was a starter division for them, but then later on they went up. But then I think some
True.
ladies they feel like they fit in that division and they grow and develop in that division.
Yeah, I feel right in place with doing wellness for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And it's experience for you, like especially y'all girls in the wellness, y'all be like, it's a particularly interesting division. I mean, when it came along, and especially it focuses on the lower half a bit more compared to the others. But it's I think like anything, it's the division that works with the person's best physical aesthetics overall. You look at it like you still with your coach.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been together for like a year and a half, and that's a pretty good relationship. I know some ladies they start out with a coach and then they straight up because sometimes some coaches may not understand, especially when it comes to women. The whole thing like when it comes to how their body grows, how to develop. Men and women, we're the same. How the best way to say? We're the same race, but we're different species. Guys, if you look at certain particular men, they can gain more muscle compared to a woman because women y'all don't have testosterone like we do. And then if you do use like performance enhancers or any kind of stuff that helps you in your process, not like when people talk about bodybuilding, they think about everybody's taking steroids, just get big and rah rah rah. But that's only part of the process. Like you have to train, you have to work out, you have to diet. I mean, like what's your training like during the week?
During the week, like as in like
Yeah.
how many days
It,
I'm doing.
yeah, having days to do and what you're training and everything else you focus on.
So I do about like four. When I split, so I do upper body, I do lower. I split my legs and my glutes. Um, Sometimes I'll do back and shoulders together. Sometimes focus on back or shoulders. So especially right now, with not having any deadlines or like any specific thing that I need to be concerned about, everything's just kind of spread out.
Hmm. And you did
So
and you did USA's. What was the critique you got from the judges? What did they tell you you might need to work on?
for USA's. So for USA's, it was just a little bit more tightness in the glutes, in my kind of lower glute area. Um, that though, I feel like because I don't know if you've seen like my page before, USA's was it was a rough road to get to USA's. Ideally, I wish I would have taken a break like after my um second NPC show, the Cutler, and then maybe did a different bigger show. Because doing, I mean, we just were actually talking about it. Doing so many peak weeks so close together, it my body under like a lot of stress. And then being new as well, still wet behind the ears, right? Um, being new and putting my body through this like whole new thing that it's not done before, it put me under a lot of stress. So before USA's, I actually had some issues. One of them, I went into the hospital for like emergency. I went to the emergency room for some digestive issues. So there were just some things like my body was kind of pushing back. It was kind of like, okay, like, we're gonna have to wrap this up. Um, so I kind of credit a lot of me not coming in as good as I could have, kind of to those little setbacks.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
I
I
think
mean,
one
it
thing.
wasn't the worst thing that could have been
Yeah, I think it's one thing.
critiqued.
Yeah, I think it's one thing. You just starting out. I think it should be just to get you along slowly, let you build your
Hmm.
physique, your overall conditioning. Also, be aware of also anything that happens because you know what your body is the most important thing. If
Absolutely.
you got to take care of it. It's good that if your coach is always monitoring your health, your also your blood work, stuff like that. And again, for women, you're doing something that's very extreme. As you know, women, y'all supposed to be we are wives, our mothers, our girlfriends. Y'all supposed to be soft. I grew up with my mother and three sisters. I grew, but I had, there was a little bit more testosterone in the house because I had my younger brother, my older brother, my two nephews. But I worked a long time with women. I mean, my first real job, I worked 13 years at textile plant. So it's all more women. And then I had another job. My first real job was I used to work at a gas station. I used to work with girls and with cash registers like that. And then I had another job later on where I worked in a strip club, and you're working with women. Oh yeah, yeah. Guys used to say, George, man, you work in a strip club. Like, no, man, it's not all that. It's not. Sometimes it's like this. This girl's not making the money, and it's not a good night. Sometimes people act a fool. You say to yourself, why people act a fool? Got titties and ass hanging around here. I don't know why. But here we get here. Shout out to our man, Job Simpkins coming through. He says this. He says, what's good, George and Taylor? Not much, brother. What's good with you? And yeah, going to the hospital. I know quite a few ladies have had an issue every now and then, but that's why it's good to also pay attention to your health. If you have a regular doctor, go see him as often as you can. Get yourself tested. I mean, even though this is, wellness is not as extreme as some of the other divisions, but still, you have to bring in that conditioning and that development.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So folks, while we got Taylor here talking with her, what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into her social media for a little bit, get a little information into her, and find a little more about this young lady. Guys, if you want to follow her, her links in the description of this live, check her out. Reach out to enduring interest. But guys, I know she's a pretty girl. She's very attractive. She's sitting right here. But you guys out there, you know who you are, you sick freaks. This is a lovely lady. She has a kid. Be respectful. No weird shit. If I hear about it, I'm kicking somebody's ass. So yeah, I got to say, because sometimes guys be weird like that. And so, folks, we're going to jump into her social media a little bit. And you want to follow her, the link description. Give me a second here. We was just here. And here we are, right here. And, there she is right here in the gym, working out. What was your, like when you're gym training, what's the thing you love to work out the most? This is a cute little picture.
um, I like doing legs and glutes, I think. um, Probably leg day a little bit more than glutes, but it's hard to choose.
Anytime I hear a female bodybuilder who say they love leg day, You're six.
Shout
You're
out to my
six.
girl Nancy.
Oh, Nancy. Wow. Hey, Nancy.
Yeah.
Wow. She's a competitor too, or she just a friend?
I'm sorry.
Is she a competitor too, or she just a friend?
No, she's a gym girl, but she doesn't compete.
Wow. You might need to try to maybe recruit her. Wow.
She could
It's
if she
nice.
wants to.
Yeah, look here. She doing the wellness poses. Look at her quads. Wow. I mean, nice shape, nice definition, nice tone. Just like I said, just bring conditioning a little bit. I think you have the goods. Like I say, you know, and like the day to day for you. Like as you know, you have a career in realtor. How did you start at that?
So I actually worked in lending. I did loan processing. And I mean, like, I like to call myself a serial skiller. Um, I did lending and then I was in dentistry for some years. Um, when I came out of dentistry, I kind of was like, I want to pick up on something else. Really familiar with kind of the whole housing situation with doing lending and stuff. So I was like, I'm just gonna go get a real estate license and went and did that. So yeah, it's kind of a common career here in Vegas.
Yeah, I heard that. I think because Vegas has, I think like no property taxes, and I think also some other things. I think because you can probably the cost of living is not as expensive compared to other places because it's a big, gambling city.
I don't. It's kind of that'd probably be up for debate right now with a lot of people because it's the city's grown a lot and it's changing. So things are not really once or what they once were.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, Disney tried to buy into it, try to make it more, family friendly, but it didn't work out. I think because Vegas is supposed to be the places adults go to have fun and get away from the kids and the family members.
It's really changed a lot. I grew up here, so it's very different. I don't know. I love it here and I just kind of grow with it too. So it's not really um anything crazy to me.
Yeah, I said, I'm a country boy, ma'am. I've been living out the country most of my life. I've been to a big city a couple of times, woo doggy. But when I see women like you, I say, wow. I said,
City girls, right?
yeah, city
That's
girl,
like,
'cause y'all sure are pretty.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, but like I said, this is like I said, just a great physique, great detail. Like I said, you're still brand new to the sport, and it's gonna take some time. I would
Yeah, and that's the
say,
fun part.
yeah, that's the thing is it's what they say to me is you got to trust the process, but not so much trust the process, understand it, then you can trust it because you got to know what you're doing, and it's good
I like
that you
that.
got your coach and your team working with you and coming a long way. Hmm. So, what do you feel as a woman in sport of bodybuilding? You think you might think you might need to help you get to that next level when it comes to competition.
What I need as an individual,
Yeah,
um, just keep improving on things. I mean, that's what more can you really do? Just keep going forward. Um, right now, I'm not really too concerned about too much. Like I know what I need to work on, but I'm excited about it. I want to grow in every way. So I don't
yeah.
really feel like I'm in need of anything too much right now.
Well, like I said, I think it's like I said, this process is about what the best things works for you as you develop along the way, the things you necessarily need as an athlete, and things that probably can help, in your process. I mean, bodybuilding is a tough sport. From my conversations, I think one lady told me it's not as tough compared to she used to do the Ironman and the triathlete stuff,
Mhm.
but this is a different level compared to any other sport because it's not as mainstream. I know it's because you have the Olympia right there in Vegas, and it's coming up about a month. Can you believe it?
Yeah,
It's
it's
about a month
very
away.
quick.
Wow, it's flying. And you know, it's a sport that takes a lot. Some people a lot of sacrifice, but then it's more of an investment. Like some people tell me, because for one thing, traveling to the show because you're still an amateur, you have to pay to compete. the cost of your coach, the cost of because you're in the sport as I call them you're in one of the TNA sports. That's divisions that's bikini and wellness, and you have to have a presentation. Having that both that combination of muscularity and femininity.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It's like being in Vegas, that's becoming a very popular bodybuilding town. Has there anybody that you met that you were like, wow, you were just amazed by them or just really respect their ethics and work?
Yes, that's been like one of my favorite things about entering the whole world of competing. I've met a lot of amazing people, a lot of girls, a lot of girls in my division as well, a lot of girls that are in other divisions. Um, I think one lady in particular that really like mesmerized me is Rania. She actually just got her pro card.
Rania
She's
Tally.
women's, yeah,
Yeah, a friend of mine interviewed her a while back. She
Rania.
just, yeah, she was also with the USA's with you. She got her pro card and she made her
Yes, yes, she
debut.
was there,
And I was at Tampa just last month when she made her debut.
and she was there. Yeah,
Yeah, she was really good. I mean, she was in top five. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. I
hope
seen her. She was at Samson, and I just remember seeing her. And I'm like, wow, like she, like you were just saying, like you were talking about like the feminine side and the physical side of everything, and I think she's like an amazing package with that. Very, very beautiful and very, very amazing physique as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's some amazing ladies who I've seen over time. I've been following this sport for a long time. When I was coming up, I was more like, especially like when I got into it, my older brother used to get the muscle magazines. I used to play football here in hometown. That's the story I always, because my brother James, he used to get the muscle magazines. He used to work out because helping, work out. We was doing football. We didn't have the weights. We used to use cinder blocks and stuff. We were country boys. Until you got into high school, we started using the weights. And then there's guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger and guys like Lee Haney and Dorian Yates and quite a few other guys I remember back in the day. But then something kind of changed to me, especially when I got to my pubescent ages, when I got to my teenage years. Then something about y'all ladies, it kind of just changed me to a different person. Just the amazing, beautiful women I've seen over the years, like people like Corey Everson and Laura Craval and so many others. And there's this one lady who I'm a fan of. You probably saw her a few times. And she's one of my favorites all time. That is a lovely Mrs. Andrea
Yeah, she is
Shaw.
amazing. I've seen on socials, seen some of some content with her. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she exudes what is very attractive, very feminine, especially in the higher level, like women's bodybuilding. Let me tell you a story. And that's why I always shout out my friend Eunice from Bad Rap and I always bring this out because to quote my other half, if you get us something, never do it for free. And often I call this my payment. This was like about a couple years ago. It was my birthday. And my friend Eunice was at the Olympia when it was in Orlando back in 2023. This is the last issue of Muscle Development as hard copy. And she got it for me. But not just getting this for me. She was there. She ran to Andrea. And I always like to show this off because this is my pride and joy. I have a bunch of magazines, but what makes this one special is the fact that she signed it.
Wow, that's really special.
That's really special. That's why I love her. She's gonna be my girlfriend. So but you know what? This is a sport. Yeah, I know. You get to know me, you realize I'm crazy. But this is a sport that is a passion sport. Um, you feel like there could be better ways for competitors to maybe get the help and assistance in the sport. Like especially you went to the hospital, like you're still an amateur, maybe something to cover the cost of your training, the cost of going to the shows. What do you think you would need financially to help you out?
Um, trying to see how to answer your question.
Well,
You're
just
saying what would
basically,
we need?
yeah, like if you like say, are you sponsored? That's a quick question, y'all.
Oh, am I sponsored?
Yeah, are you sponsored?
No, I'm not. No.
Yeah, and that's why I say like sponsorship helps competitors because there's a lot of costs because for you ladies, I say this for you ladies, all you got to do, you have to have a presentation. Your posing suits was that's a good chunk of change. your shoes, your hair, your makeup, the jewelry you have to wear. While you look over the guys, all they got to do is put on a pair of banana hammocks and board shorts and slap on some tanning. You have to bring a presentation of beauty and muscle and grace, and that's a cost. That's expensive.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, everybody seems to find a way. If they, if you really want something, you're gonna figure out how to make it happen. Um, I can't really speak for, I mean, I can't speak for everybody. Some people are chasing the sponsorships. Um, some of us have, existing um ways to pay for things. You have an existing career or whatever. So I don't really like what would make it. I couldn't really say what would make it like easier or less taxing financially. I'm not sure.
Well, there's plenty of ways, but you want those ways to be something that you feel comfortable in doing. I know, like I said again, other ladies have ways of making money, and we know about those other ways. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But you know what? Following the sport as long as I have, I see it has evolved over time. You know, Back in the day, I used to remember you could watch it on television, but now you don't watch it on television. It doesn't get enough attention. Because right
Mhm.
there you're in Vegas, and one of the more popular sports right there is mixed martial arts, UFC. And
Right.
I've interviewed MMA fighters and a couple of UFC level competitors. It's mostly women, and I've seen the sport has evolved. I was a big mixed martial arts fan. I grew up with boxing as a kid, but it came along, but it was something different, and that's what I like bodybuilding. Like I think I like talking to ladies in MMA and also combat sports. Y'all get that same kind of stink eye where people don't think that you belong in the sport, especially it's a sport where you look at MMA, it's very blood and guts. You look at bodybuilding, it's muscle and growth.
Yeah, there probably are some people who feel that way.
Yeah, and even like you love a young lady, very attractive young lady. There's people who will say, even you see just a little bit of muscle, just a little bit, they make these comments like, "Why you need all these muscles? And, are you trying to be manly or something? What's wrong? Why you like that?"
Yeah, somebody likes it. I don't know. I just over time you kind of learn not to worry about all the other stuff. Like you just focus on what you're doing. You're not worrying about what everybody else feels. Um, and another thing too, I guess with bodybuilding, you find your people. So I actually had a conversation with somebody, kind of the more you get into the sport and start meeting more people, you start making more friends, and they're very similar to you. So having a conversation with them, it's just so seamless, and guys are talking about something that might sound crazy to somebody who doesn't train as crazy, but you find your people, and I think worry about each other, worry about yourself, and all that other stuff, what people have to say are going to really affect you.
Well, bodybuilding, it's a kind of small community, but it's growing worldwide. I recently interviewed a lady who's Ivy Pro from the Philippines, a lady from as far as Czech Republic, South Africa, Australia, countries like Mexico, Chile,
Yeah.
Argentina. I mean, it's just recently, just was it about a few weeks ago, they had the Masters Olympia in Japan. It's growing, but it's still kind of a small community in a way. But it's good to find somebody who share your passions. Like I know your mom passed. You still have any other family members left, or how they think about it?
Oh yeah, no, my family is very accepting. I mean, I'm not doing anything like, I mean, it could be worse, right? Like it's not crack. No. No, my family's very supportive. I'm very, very lucky to have a very open-minded family. So um yeah, nobody's ever had anything crazy. My grandma probably, if she was still alive, she'd always say something crazy. But my grandma's whole thing is this, at least as long as you're not fat. So like, so maybe she wouldn't. But no, I grew up with a very open-minded family. So they're still very open-minded. So
That's good because you know what
excited for me.
I know I've talked to ladies where parents don't understand it. I just interviewed a young lady. She's a bikini competitor, and her family is originally from India, and they're very traditional. Like